live on a Wednesday, of course, getting you through the halfway point of your work week, or the sports week, as me and Steven like to call it, because we're getting you, of course, to the weekend where all the college sports happen, the NFL. Now we got the MLB season is in full swing of the postseason. We got the NBA preseason starting. Steven, it's a great time of year. It's the best time of the year.
I was going to say it's the best time of the year. I think the only other thing is when NBA is on, NHL is on, NFL is on, college football is on, and you're in the late postseason of Major League playoffs, and it's awesome, Cole. It's like you said, it's the best time of the year.
It's Christmas for sports fans.
It is. It really is. And speaking of best time of the year, I want to get right into it. Talking about the best time of the year starting last night, or one of the games being played last night. It was the divisional round series, or the wild card game, excuse me, between the Cubs and the Rockies. And I don't know if you got a chance to watch any of this game. I don't know how you wouldn't, because it lasted for 4 hours and 55 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, if you just watched a little bit of it, you saw the whole game, right?
I mean, it was 1-1 game. I think it lasted 13 innings. Colorado ended up winning 2-1 at Wrigley Field. Cole, a lot of records set. It was the longest post game in Wrigley Field history. It was the longest wild card game, and it was the longest winner go home game ever in Major League postseason history. I want to get your thoughts. Is this killing Major League Baseball, how long these games are? And to me, part of it is not even just because how long it was, it's just because there wasn't much action. I mean, it was a 1-1 game going into the 13th inning. I mean, what?
Well, I mean, look, this is supposed to be the most exciting part of baseball season is the postseason. And one big complaint of the outsiders of baseball, because, look, the true-hearted baseball fans are going to watch no matter what. They're going to watch baseball and love it no matter what happens, no matter what rules they make, no matter what changes they make. They're going to watch it because they just love baseball. But for the outside fans, the guys who are like, do I want to watch this game or not? You're kind of pushing them away when the game lasts until after midnight. You got people who are going to watch the game, and after midnight, they still got to go to work the next day. You got to get up. I mean, we have early morning jobs. Some of us have to go and work at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. So I mean, you can't stay up and watch that game. So no, I mean, it's not going to kill the sport. But I have been saying for a while, why do we play 162 games and then decide it in one game? It just makes no sense to me why you play so many games and you decide it in one game.
I get it, because they don't want to make. Well, they don't want to make so many. They don't want to make so many playoff rounds because they're already going to have playoff rounds for the next round. This is just the wild card game to decide who gets that last spot in the
right
National League and the American League. But I mean, I think there's just the length of it and just the lack of excitement, because there's not much scoring. And I think one of the main problems for me is the amount of pitching changes, which I understand is strategic for baseball.
Oh yeah,
I understand you're trying to get the best matchup for the best batter, and when you get into those 13 inning games, you can literally change out a pitcher every batter. But it gets to a point where you're just like, I mean, I was watching this game last night, Cole, and I'm watching in the 11th inning, and we had a pitching change, I think 4 times in one inning.
We had a pitching change. Okay, did you have a rooting interest in this game?
No. Luckily, no. Good God, no. Because I would have bet on
that hug, that weird hug between the Rockies and Cubs player. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
So there was, I can't remember
So you got to explain.
I can't remember the two players' names, but there was a point where the base runner was attempting to run the bases, and I think it was a Rockies player. I can't remember which one it was, and he runs into him, and they just start to just like embrace, and they just hug each other. It was the weirdest 10-15 seconds.
That's like a cringeworthy moment, man.
Oh, it was so cringeworthy.
Was it like one of those moments where you have to watch, but you don't want to watch, but you have to?
You've never seen
that's what I'm saying.
Like this.
You don't want to watch it, but at the same time you can't look away
because it's during play. Like I mean, it's like while the play is going on, and you're just like, what's happening right now?
Yeah, I just think Major League Baseball needs to make a rule, somehow change these unending games, and change somehow. And
they are making changes.
They're trying to speed it up more. I think they're trying to speed it up more because the America's game, the America's pastime, just isn't what it used to be. I don't think as many. They don't get the ratings they used to. And
Connor Davis says that the hug was the new way to sack quarterbacks in the NFL.
It is. I agree.
Little shot to those.
Well, Connor, I like that. The main reason I like that, Cole, that's a great transition into our next segment.
Let's do it.
We're going to use it. So, big week of NFL last weekend, as it always is. Did you watch any of that Seahawks game?
I caught a little bit of it. Of course, it wasn't on in our markets, but I did.
What's new? Because nothing is in our markets unless we pay a lot of money for it.
Games, right? Except for the local teams.
So Seahawks playing the Cardinals, and the big news out of this, it wasn't that the Seahawks got the win. It was that Earl Thomas got hurt in this game. He ended up fracturing his left leg in the fourth quarter, placed on injury reserve. And it wasn't even the biggest story. Wasn't even that he got injured. It was the way he was carted off the field, Cole. Because as he was carted off the field, as I say, I'm sure you've seen it, but for those who haven't, he's carted off the field and he gives the middle finger to his entire bench.
Not to the fans, not to the opposing team.
No, to his bench. Now, he did this, again, for those of you who don't know, those viewers who don't know, Earl Thomas was in a contract dispute this whole offseason, had a holdout up until pretty much, I think, the week he had to be there to get paid. Pretty much saying he wants to get paid or he's out, you know. Yeah. And basically kind of said once he even started this season.
Players think he deserves to be paid, too.
I agree. He's probably arguably the best safety in NFL. Arguably.
I think so, too. I think so.
Arguably. Yeah. But you have this whole thing with Le'Veon Bell going on right now where he's holding out still. And Cole, what are your thoughts about these holdouts? Do you think they're a good idea, bad for football, good for football, like good for the player? Are you rooting for the player? Are you rooting for the team?
I am never one to get into whether a player should hold out for more money because, look, if you're after more change, that is not me to criticize. I mean, if you want to get more money, if you think you're worth that much, by all means, express your interest. But I think if you're Earl Thomas, you're hurting the team by not playing, and so you're kind of decreasing your value a little bit in a way. And you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and how they've struggled. Le'Veon Bell is showing he is a value to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and somebody like the Jets who might want to pick up Le'Veon Bell is looking at the saying, hey, I think we could use a Le'Veon Bell. I think a lot of teams in the NFL could use a Le'Veon Bell or an Earl Thomas, and a lot of teams like that would want a player of that magnitude. But I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not one to say whether or not a guy should hold out or not, but I mean, it is hurting the NFL a little bit to not see these players play. I mean,
to me, I think the NFL needs to go to guaranteed contracts that the NBA went to. I think that they're guaranteeing more money than they ever have before, but I think they need to go to fully guaranteed contracts. And I get that hurts the team or hurts owners and everything like that because of the fact that NFL is so injury prone that you're guaranteeing these guys and you don't even know if they're going to make it another year or not. I get that. But I think that's the only way you're going to end these type of holdouts is to give them guaranteed contracts.
Yeah.
So that way they can't, they're not going to hold out in case, all these things happen. I think another good way to do it is, and they've done this, they did it, you see it with Gronk and other players that have been injury prone in the past. They do incentives. If you play a certain amount of games, you play X number of games this season, you get $500,000 added onto your contract.
Dakota Calvert has an interesting point here. He says, at the end of the day, would you hold out at your job if you knew you were worth more? I think a lot of people would say yes. I think 70% of America would say yes.
Really? I think is if I'm at my current job right now, like I think just for instance, I think I could get paid more right now, but I'm not going to hold out because I need the money.
Right,
because you can't hold out. You need the money. But these players are in a different circumstance because they're making millions of dollars. Right. They can stand to wait a few months without a paycheck or lose the money they would have got paid.
Right. Well, and I think that's the difference. These star players who know that they can get paid more by other teams, they'll hold out and they want to get paid more. And then you have those players who are like, nah, I need to cut some checks. I'm just trying to put food on the table. I don't need more. I just need to get paid.
Right. That's another interesting thing. I mean, you see I'm sure you've seen the statistic of what is it like. Almost 90% of players, professional athletes, go broke after they finish playing. So I mean, you've got certain stuff like that.
Gus Golden comments, "How valuable are running backs in NFL when it comes down to it, though?" I think they're very valuable. I agree with that point. It's a good point because Le'Veon Bell is trying to negotiate, for a higher contract. And a lot of owners are saying no. The Rooney family, the Steelers say no. We're investing in a running backs because they're life.
They're very. I would say I think the average life expectancy for a running back is 3 years. I think.
I mean, at most 6 to 8. I mean, good years. I mean, quality years out of a running back.
That's what I said. The average.
Look at Adrian Peterson. I mean, he had a burst of some Hall of Fame seasons.
But he's having a good season this year.
Exactly. Well, I mean that is true, but I think he got a good opportunity.
Well, he got a good opportunity. Right. I think he's the exception to the rule here, but I think so that based on the running back, the great running backs, you see the teams with the great running backs. I think they're well off because of it. So I think if you have the right running back, and I think Le'Veon Bell is arguably the best running back in the NFL right now. Arguably.
A good point by Tyler Evans. He says Khalil Mack did it right by holding out, and he got paid big time. And that is a great point. He did.
You're right.
It does. For some players, it does pay off.
Yes.
It does pay off.
But you have players like Le'Veon Bell where the Steelers aren't trading him. Currently, they haven't traded him yet, and they also haven't paid him.
Where do you think? Before we move on, where do you think? I'm out of curiosity. Where do you think Le'Veon Bell plays next season, Steven?
Not Pittsburgh.
Anywhere
just
somewhere but Pittsburgh.
Anywhere but Pittsburgh. I think wherever pays him. I think he's. I like Le'Veon Bell as a player. Like watching him play, I don't think he's a great person in general. I think he's kind of the all about me mentality, which I get. These players are trying to get their money, they're trying to avoid what happened to Earl Thomas. Getting back to Earl Thomas, I hate what happened to him because of the fact that he's worked so hard. He's such a great player. He's working to get this money, and now he's injured, and now he's probably not going to get the same payday he ever would have.
I agree.
Prior to the injury.
I think so.
So that's why he gives the middle finger. But I just think
there was a better way to display your frustration.
There is, but I mean, I think if I was in Le'Veon Bell's shoes, though, and in Earl Thomas's shoes, and I'm saying whichever I'm the best, whichever one, which I'm saying I'm the best safety in the game right now,
or best running back.
I see these safeties that are getting paid. Yeah. I see these running backs that are getting paid. I deserve this money. I can get hurt in the next game and not get this money. I need this money now so that I don't get hurt and not get the same payday.
We'll agree, and then we can move on from there.
So let's move on. Let's move on to actually a little bit more football.
Okay.
Did you watch any of the Monday night game?
Oh yes, I did, and I loved it. Oh my goodness,
that was a great game to watch. I think Kansas City is probably the most exciting team to watch in football right now, in NFL football, anyways. They've got a guy there who I call, because we had Fitzmagic, so I'm calling him Magic Mahomes.
Magic Mahomes.
Because I think Fitzmagic.
Or Showtime Mahomes is what
Showtime
they
Mahomes.
gave him the nickname.
I like Magic Mahomes because it's 2 M's. You know, it's mine too.
It's
so.
good. It's good. It's like
trademark.
Fitzmagic.
By the way, you owe me money if you say that anymore. But Fitzmagic is dead, so now we have Magic Mahomes over here. My question to you, Cole, is he the new Aaron Rodgers?
No, and you know this was really debated because people were trying to find who to compare Patrick Mahomes to, and I would like to throw that out to our listening audience is who do you think Pat Mahomes most favors when he plays? I think that Colin Cowherd brought up a good point. I think he is a lot of Brett Favre in his gunslinging mentality and how he just kind of maneuvers the pocket and just kind of finds guys seemingly downfield at will almost. No, he's dazzling to watch. I think this Kansas City team is really interesting. I don't think they're going to really make it that far. I don't think they're going to make a Super Bowl run by any means.
They're the one of 2 teams undefeated, and they're in the AFC. So
yeah, I think the schedule's worked out in their favor a lot. I think this division has shaken out in their favor really well too. Look, Pat Mahomes is getting the benefit of playing with Travis Kelce, who's probably either the second or, in some people's opinion, the best tight end in the league. He plays with Tyreek Hill, who's one of the most dynamic receivers, the fastest player on the football field. He plays with one of the top 5 running backs, Kareem Hunt. And he still plays for a pretty good defense, too. And he plays for an offensive coach in Andy Reid. So Pat Mahomes is benefiting a lot from this. So let's not go too far. He's athletic. He's got a great arm. I still want to see a little more from Pat Mahomes because I saw this Kansas City team do a lot of damage even with Alex Smith at quarterback for them.
True.
So, I mean, let's pump the brakes still. He looks great.
He's exciting to watch.
And he has a lot of potential. Exciting to watch.
I do like the Showtime. I do like the Showtime just because of the fact that he's fun to watch. It's just like the Showtime Lakers. You know, you go when you watch them in the 80s, you watch them because they're fun to watch. They're winning games, first of all, but they're also, you know, you want to see those great passes. You want to see those insane plays, the highlight reels. And I feel like when you're watching Patrick Mahomes, you're watching highlight reels. You're watching this guy throw the ball with his left hand. I mean, you're watching him make throws on the run no one should be able to make, possibly ever. I mean, that's the reason I compared him to Aaron Rodgers, because I see Aaron Rodgers sprinting one way out of the pocket, throwing across his body downfield, and somehow still nailing the pass on the money.
Beautiful.
And that's what I see with Patrick Mahomes. That's what I see. And I think he's just Dakota
actually made the comparison to Mike Vick.
He's not. Mike Vick's a runner. Patrick Mahomes can run, but Mike Vick was never.
Not Mike the scrambler that Michael Vick is, though.
No,
right?
but Patrick Mahomes is more accurate than Michael Vick.
I think so too. I think he's got a better arm than Michael Vick does.
I don't know. Michael Vick had, I think, arguably the stronger arm.
Did you see the pregame pass that Mahomes threw before the game?
Well, I know he's been able.
He stood in the end zone, Steven, and threw it all the way to the opposite end zone before.
As I say, he has been on shows that says he can throw it 70 yards in the air.
I think he threw the ball at least 125 yards.
There's no way.
And
I don't believe.
Go watch the video. It will absolutely blow you away. Tyler wants to know if which quarterback's better, Goff or Mahomes.
Mahomes.
I think
Mahomes is more skilled. You're talking about. I mean, Cole's just talking about Mahomes having a great team around him. You talk about a great team around you in Goff.
No, you're right.
I mean, you talk about everything you could possibly want in Goff. I mean, Goff is in that unique situation too, where he's in I'm going to call it the Alabama situation, where you don't have to have a quarterback.
By the best players.
You're surrounded by the best players. You can do whatever you want. You can just be a game manager. Granted, Goff has looked great, and he looked great the last game when he threw 5 touchdowns in the last game. And he was better. I think he had a better statistics in that game than any Rams quarterback ever. But Mahomes is more skilled, definitely.
I think in the long run, I think Mahomes will be better than Goff. I think if that's fair to say, but I think that Goff still has a huge upside. Look, those throws that Goff made last week, they were not easy throws. Those were very difficult throws.
I'm not taking anything away from Goff. I just think Mahomes is the more talented quarterback.
I agree. I think so too.
Okay, moving right along. We got last thing. We're going to move out of football just very briefly, talk about what happened this last week. We had NBA preseason starting, and we had some new faces on some new teams. LeBron debuts with the Lakers. We had, actually in the Magic City here in Birmingham, we actually had a preseason game. The Rockets played the Grizzlies. You were there, I believe, right? I was there. It was a great game to watch.
How was the atmosphere there?
It was great. It sold out. BJCC. It was a lot of fun. I think they might have played. The starters played the whole game. So I was very excited and impressed with that. Me? I'm not.
So
Chris Paul, Melo, Harden were all in there in the fourth quarter.
Get out of here.
We saw. I don't know if everybody gets. ESPN was updating me on my phone with highlight plays. Chris Paul nutmeg somebody.
Right.
Melo's hitting threes.
I missed it.
It was a lot of fun to watch. I wish they would have played a better team than Grizzlies, because the Grizzlies kind of suck. But it was a great game to watch, a lot of fun. I'm glad they finally got to play a NBA game here in Birmingham.
I think Birmingham is really gets around basketball, and I think it's slowly starting to really support basketball.
I wish Birmingham needs a little bit more higher population, maybe a Fortune 500 company or so, and they can eventually get an actual pro team, because they have a couple. They have a couple of minor league teams.
Yeah,
but they maybe in a few years, 10 years or so, they can get a pro team to come to Birmingham. I think it'll be football before anything else, because I think we're the largest football market in America.
So obviously a lot of new faces around the NBA. Just real quick, because we're going to try and stick to football as good as we can. Who is the one player you're looking forward to seeing in a new place? The obvious one's LeBron.
As I say,
is there anybody else is there anybody else we're looking forward to?
It'll be interesting to see. Well, actually, it's not necessarily new faces in new places, but I'll be very interested to see the Celtics healthy.
That's a good one.
Very interested. I'm actually going to see them.
But definitely new.
I'm actually going to see the Celtics in Madison Square Garden in February.
I'm
very excited about that.
Very
but
exciting.
Also, I'm gonna hate myself, and everybody else is gonna hate me. But I'm very interested to see DeMarcus Cousins in Golden State. Not because I want to see Golden State win.
That's gonna be a while.
It is. It's a price to pay. Not necessarily because I want them to win. I'm just interested to see how they work with that dynamic. They've never had a back it down guy who's gonna clog up the paint.
But also can hit the three too.
He can hit the three. He's very skilled. I'm just interested to see how Steve Kerr works it. Steve Kerr's never had a problem with working an all-star back into his lineup, like we've seen multiple times, especially with the addition of Kevin Durant. I just think it'll be an interesting aspect to this, run and gun, spread the floor Golden State offense.
I'm looking forward to it. Of course, you got Kawhi playing in Toronto now, and DeMar DeRozan playing in San Antonio. But of course, the big one, is LeBron James. I cannot wait to see it. I
think that'll be interesting.
Every single Lakers game that is on TV.
Can I hold you to that?
I will be glued to it.
Can I hold you to that?
No. You can mark it down. I will be in front of my television. I'll DVR it. I'll record it. I am going to watch every single one.
Wow.
Because it is fun. We finally have relevancy in Los Angeles for the basketball. We need this. The NBA needs the Celtics and the Lakers to be good. That's two teams they need, and now we have relevancy for both teams. LeBron makes the Lakers so interesting.
He does. It's exciting. It's exciting. It's the 80s.
You've got a blend of young talent and then the veterans, JaVale McGee and Rondo, who are both NBA champions coming on into this team. It's
exciting.
Going to be
it's
so
exciting.
Interesting to watch.
So we have Tyler Evans commenting real quick, stick on basketball. He says he's interested to see what Luka Doncic and Trae Young and the impact they can make on their teams. So who do you think out of those two? So I'm excited to see Luka Doncic and actually see what he can do away from Europe. More so than Trae Young.
Yeah.
Who do you think out of those two, just those two, not the rest of the rookies, is more likely to win Rookie of the Year?
I think Trae Young is going to get more attention in Atlanta. Of course, Atlanta's going to they're not going to be a good team at all hardly this season. I mean, so he's going to get a lot of minutes, get a lot of shots up. He's going to put a lot of points up. Maybe even win Rookie of the Year. I think Colin Sexton actually is my favorite to win Rookie of the Year this year.
Is that Alabama biased? I hear.
No, it's not. It's just I think that he's going to get to really take over this team, and I think he's going to be probably one of the more interesting players to watch as far as rookies go. Now the guy from Dallas, how do you pronounce his name? Luka Doncic. Okay. Doncic. Okay.
Doncic.
Okay. Anyways.
Sound it out, Cole.
Anyways. I don't think he's going to get that much attention, but he does. I think he fits well with the Mavericks, and him along with Dennis Smith Jr. and I guess is Dirk still playing for the
Dirk
Mavs?
Still plays, man.
Did he play? Well, the Grizzlies played the Rockets on Monday night. I don't know why I thought they played together. The Mavericks. Anyways, I think a lot of players would be interesting to watch, but I think obviously Trae Young will get the most attention.
I think Luka Doncic is a runaway with the Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to win it pretty
Sam
handily.
Warren says the Hawks messed up with that trade. Trae Young ain't going to be that good. Bama bias from Cole.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Well,
Luka Doncic all the way. So let's move right on to some foosball this weekend. We got some great college football games. We actually had a very, very, very exciting week of college football. I'm almost bummed it's over because it was like every game I wanted to see. Ohio State played Penn State.
Great game.
Stanford played Notre Dame. We don't have to talk about it. We'll just skip right over that one. Clemson actually had an exciting game with Syracuse.
Well, the more so the storyline of that game was what was so interesting about this.
So let's back up. Let's start from the top. Ohio State, Penn State. Did you watch any of this game, Cole?
Watched the whole game.
What did you think about it?
Pretty much as I predicted, I thought that Ohio State would edge Penn State just because they're the better football team. More talented. Dwayne Haskins looked pretty calm and collected even when Penn State took that early lead. Ohio State didn't miss a beat even in the second half. They looked really, really strong. I was impressed with the defense. McSorley had some struggles down the stretch. Penn State, I think, still has an opportunity to still compete for maybe the Big Ten championship, maybe still sneak in the playoff. But Ohio State's a really good football team. I don't think anything surprises. Now, that I will say my biggest take from that game was the fourth down call that James Franklin had.
Oh, my gosh.
It was maybe one of the worst play calls in that situation. You have 4th and 5, and you call a...
Not only that, it's 4th and 5. You have that quarterback.
Yeah,
you have Trace McSorley, who's run for over 160 yards in the game, and you don't
run the running back. Not
RPO. Why not? Why not a run pass option? What are you doing? You lost the game.
But not only that, they haven't been able to run through the trenches on Ohio State all night long, and not only that, you run it out of the shotgun from the middle. I mean, like
it was a delayed handoff. It wasn't.
It was a delayed handoff. I did not.
What are you expecting to get out of that?
It was not a good call. James Franklin is going to regret that because it may have cost them a chance to play.
Well, did you see James Franklin's interview after the game, this post-game press conference?
I didn't see his direct comments. What do you have to say?
So I don't have the entire quote in front of me. I was saying, and I don't have the entire quote in front of me, but it was basically we went from a good team, or went from an average team to a good team.
I did see that.
We went from a good team to a great team. Now we're a great team, and we've gotten comfortable being great. We're not an elite team yet. I want to make us very uncomfortable being great to where we can get to an elite team.
What do you take away from those comments?
I think he's just trying to pump up his team a little bit. I think his main point was that our team has gotten complacent with where we are. Kind of we've won a bowl game now. We're looking good. We keep looking good. We're playing down to our competition a little bit. Now, granted, they didn't play down. Ohio State's not any lesser competition. I think he's just trying to pump his guys up a little bit and just say, look, we've got to put in the work to continue to be great. And I think that was as much to his players as much to his other coaching staff on the team, just trying to say, look, just because we've made it to this great status doesn't mean we can slow down at all. We got to keep our foot on the pedal and keep going towards this elite status.
I think so.
But I was very surprised. You know, I caught the end of this game. I was actually working a different football game. But I caught the end of this game. I was very surprised to see Penn State up. And it looked like their defense just controlled the game.
They did. Now, look, they gave Ohio State trouble. They really tested. I wanted to see Ohio State tested. I want to see the top teams tested.
To me, I think part of that, is that is arguably the hardest environment to play in. Happy Valley whiteout game. I think that is arguably the hardest.
Ohio State has the best win of any team right now.
That's a tough environment. They win and win. Mm-hmm. Dwayne Haskins actually, I don't think he looked that great. I think the Penn State defense in that fourth quarter, because to me, I watched the second half. To me, up until the fourth quarter or late in the fourth quarter, I think Penn State's defense just got worn down. I think they just got tired.
Connor Davis says, he's I guess referencing to you, complacent with what? They haven't won a national title in 22 years.
I'm saying his team. I'm saying this is what James Franklin was saying. His team was complacent with being great, not elite. So the elite status will be winning a national championship.
Right. Gus Golden says Penn State gave that game away. Props to Ohio State. I agree with Gus. I agree. I think Penn State. Now look. You got to give props to Ohio State, of course, because they did win the football game and they played well down the stretch. But again, I will say Penn State really cost themselves a chance to win that game with that call. It all goes back to that one play call. We go back to the Texas A&M game with Clemson, and we say that 2-point conversion. Why do you make that play call? Of course, if it works out, the coach looks like a genius. But when it doesn't work, you look bad.
Even if it works out, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that play worked. I don't even think it's like, oh my gosh, what a genius play. It's like how did that play work?
But I think on that 4th and 5. You go all in and you have the most creative, your best and most creative play call you can.
I don't even think you need that. I think you need a play that's going to be able to get Trace McSorley the running room.
5 yards.
No, well, just give a play that you can get the wide out. Give Trace a chance to survey the field and give him just room to run. Because Cole, he's had 160 yards in this game rushing.
You're right.
It's not like they figured it out any time in this game how to stop him. They stopped him. I saw one play in the second half where they were able to stop him. They spied him. They stopped him for only 2 yards. He still gained 2 yards. I mean, they can't stop him from running. So just give him an opportunity to be able to run the ball. Give him an opportunity to find somebody.
Tyler also wants to know, as of today, would you put Notre Dame in over Clemson and Ohio State in the playoff, with Notre Dame having arguably better wins than both teams, being Stanford and Michigan? That's a good point. They do have the better 2 wins, multiple wins over top 25 teams, and obviously 2 really
Ohio State
wins.
had a win over TCU when they were ranked 17th.
No, it's true, but I think what he's just trying to say is those wins look better, and they do. Michigan and Stanford are brand.
Where was the
wins.
Michigan game played at?
The Michigan Notre Dame game was played in Notre Dame.
Both games played in Notre Dame.
Yeah, both games were in South Bend. So I get it. Look, I think Ohio State has the best win, but I think Notre Dame has the best resume of both teams.
I would put to answer that question. I would put Notre Dame in over Clemson right now, but I would not put Notre Dame over Ohio State.
No, I think Notre Dame and Ohio State are in the playoff. I think right now, let's just go ahead and do it. 4 teams in, Stephen. Right now, 4 teams. Your 4 teams.
Alabama,
Ohio State. That's a given. Ohio State,
Notre Dame.
I'm with you all the way. Who's your 4th team though? This is the deal breaker.
Probably Clemson, because I don't see them being defeated. You're gonna go Georgia, which is stupid to me.
Really?
Because two teams.
I'm actually going to surprise you here.
Because of the strength of schedule is why I say that. Is because because Georgia, if they lose one game, which they if what I'm saying works out, then Alabama will beat them.
I'm going to shock you here. I'm not going to put Georgia in.
Okay.
I'm going to put Oklahoma in. I think right now Oklahoma is the 4th best team.
That's going to be tough, because what if Ohio State? What if all these teams go undefeated?
Well, obviously Georgia and Alabama will settle on the field.
Right, but I'm saying Alabama, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Clemson.
See, that'll make it tough. No, you're right. That'll make.
What do you do?
The committee is going to have to make a tough decision if this happens.
I think that's strength of schedule straight up, and I think Clemson's out.
We've never had to worry about Notre Dame because they haven't really, pushed the playoff committee since the playoff has been introduced. So we haven't had this kind of wild card in there. But this is the decision they're going to have to make. Notre Dame actually probably has the strongest schedule out of all the teams that are currently. I think they do. They play the tougher schedule.
That's what I said. I think out of that, you probably have to cut Clemson out.
I think so too. If Clemson is limping into the last bit of the season like they are right now, I think that they would put a Notre Dame team in.
Okay. So let's move on just a second. Well, we can touch on Stanford, I guess.
I'll make it very.
We'll make it quick. I think Notre Dame or Stanford just lost control in the 4th. I didn't get to watch all this game. I wish I would have. They did. I mean, they looked like they were kind of going tit for tat at it. Notre Dame had the lead, obviously, but they looked like it was keeping a close game. I think Notre Dame took over. Was the final score 38-17?
38-17.
Yep. And it was like 24-17 for a while.
Yeah, I mean the score indicates it was.
I was about to say
it looked. I
was say the fourth quarter Notre Dame pulled away.
Right. They did.
And
look,
just say you got any thoughts? Go ahead and give it to me.
All I have to say is, I mean, I could sit up here and just gloat and say I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. I mean, I told you this gauntlet schedule that Stanford was going to have to go to was just way too much for this team. Notre Dame is just the more talented football team. At the end of the day, it wasn't that Stanford's not good enough.
Was it Notre Dame or was it Ian Book?
Oh no! Look, the quarterback change was phenomenal on Brian Kelly's part. Changing to Ian Book was necessary for this team.
That's very surprising that they did that after their win.
Well, because the offense looked kind of stagnant even in the wins. I think Ian Book adds a dimension to that football team. Not only is he a good passer, but he's also a good runner. I mean, did you see some of the runs he broke against Stanford? They were phenomenal.
I did not.
I think that Notre Dame is a legitimate threat for the college football playoff this year. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. And Stanford's going to still get their shot at the Pac-12 title. But I just don't think they're one of the 4 best teams in college football.
So Tyler asked, what's up with Bryce Love? Bryce Love showed up. I don't think he played a bad game. 17 carries, 73 yards, and a touchdown. I think he wasn't the Heisman favorite that everybody had him at to begin the season, but I don't think he had a bad game. I just think Stanford just couldn't do it. I think like Cole said, I think Notre Dame was the more talented team in this game. I had Stanford as they were my underdog, and I just like to give Cole crap about it. But they were kind of an underdog pick to make it in there, and I was just kind of hoping. I always liked Stanford, but couldn't get it done.
I think you look at Bryce Love, and this is all I have to say. When you get tape on guys, that's when you really see, are they as big as you thought they were. Was when you finally get film on them and teams have enough time to prepare for them, and they're not so much a surprise. Bryce Love kind of broke out of nowhere last season. So I think now people have, like you said, Tyler said, he's fallen off the face of the earth. I think he's just fallen down to earth. I think he was he was riding high. And
well, see, I was gonna say, I think that what separates, we'll use some James Franklin terms here. Great to elite players,
he was good, then he became great.
I was gonna say, I think what it happens is the great players, you get film on them, you can figure them out a little bit. The elite players, you can get film on them, you still can't do anything about them.
Right.
So I think that changes a little bit. So we were talking about Clemson, and we were talking about their struggles, and I think the big storyline was that Trevor Lawrence started the game. Kelly Bryant announced he was transferring, and then Trevor Lawrence goes in and gets hurt, gets a concussion.
It was a scary play.
It was a big hit. I did not actually see the play, but I know it was a big hit.
It was. So what happened was Trevor Lawrence obviously scrambling, trying to find somebody downfield, and he ends up trying to run the ball down the sideline. I think he was actually trying to slide and try and get down, and the defender. I didn't intend on doing this. Was still going for the tackle. I think it just one of those collisions, and his shoulder actually goes into like his the
head,
top of his helmet,
his noggin.
So I mean,
his brain helmet.
Dangerous play. I mean, obviously, if you're now that you're one quarterback hit away from going to
that's tough,
Bryce
man.
Johnson, I think the third string guy was. I think that's his name.
I don't know. Their fourth stringer was Hunter Renfro. So I know they're getting down to the nitty gritty, and he actually took. I actually read a report that he actually took some snaps at quarterback in practice this past weekend because they're getting a little scared here, I think.
Hey, look, we touched on this topic. I think was it last week about?
Yeah, we did last week.
I told you this is going to start affecting teams when you have a star guy like Kelly Bryant that goes away. When Trevor Lawrence gets hurt or Trevor Lawrence starts to play bad, who are you going to turn to? You have nobody to turn to except your second string. Or look, Hunter Renfro, a wide receiver, is going to be playing quarterback for you. I mean, that's.
Do you know if
it's
he played
going to affect Clemson in the long run.
Do you know if Hunter Renfro played any quarterback in high school? I think he did.
I guess it's kind of like Julian Edelman. I didn't know Julian Edelman played quarterback in college.
I
didn't know that.
Yeah, man.
And it was. I think it was one game last year when
Hunter Renfro. I'm telling you, the Patriots are going to be licking their chops because that is a short, wide receiver.
Crazy stuff.
That's going to be Patriots all day.
Gus Golden said 100% he should have went out of bounds. I agree. He shouldn't have went for the slide because when you're if you're Tua Tagovailoa and you're in a big game against LSU and Auburn, you can afford to try and gain those extra yards scrambling because you have Jalen Hurts behind you. But when you're Trevor Lawrence, you're the guy. You can't take those risks. You gotta get down.
See, to me,
learn to slide.
One of the biggest stories too. Did you see the very end of this game?
I did, yeah. No, I did. I saw when Clemson won the game, and of course they I know what you're gonna say. Talking about rushing the field against Syracuse. I know. Look, it's a tradition. Stephen. Don't get mad.
It's Syracuse.
Don't get butthurt.
You won a comeback game versus Syracuse.
Don't.
And you're rushing the field.
It's a tradition at Clemson. It's a tradition.
Still. You just if you have to win a comeback game versus Syracuse, don't rush the field. Don't rush the field. I'm not touching the field.
Now look, we should
ashamed.
all be fans of this Bryce Johnson kid. I had a conversation with one of my good friends, and he said that he became an instant fan of him because he's the guy that waits his turn. He doesn't try and be all collected and say I deserve to have the starting job. He gets his shot, and Bryce leads the team and gets the win. That's a guy I can cheer for. I found myself rooting for Clemson because of that guy.
Oh no, I'm rooting for Syracuse all day. It's underdog, man.
Well, I was rooting for Syracuse until after Bryce came in.
Bryce Johnson. Okay. Let's touch on real quick some local games. Auburn had a bit of some offensive struggles against Southern Miss.
They did.
I didn't actually get to watch this game, but I've heard from some Auburn insiders. Just the offensive line was struggling.
It was brutal.
Jarrett Stidham, not necessarily totally his fault because he was running for his life, but he didn't look like they wanted him to. It was kind of like at the beginning of the season, I think he was going to be their savior almost because they didn't have the elite running backs coming back. They actually lost their running back in that game. He got hurt. So it was just a tough game. They end up
the delay.
It all kind of hurts them. I mean, they just didn't. So. I think at one point it was a 7-point game late in the game, but they ended up pulling out. They winning, but it was just more struggle than you expect to see from Auburn against a team like Southern Miss.
Well, we saw this from them last season, of course, with the Mercer game. Was that the one where they had the struggles last season? I think it was. Every team goes through these tough weeks because look, how do you get up for Southern Miss if you're Auburn? You're playing the SEC. You're playing some of the best competition, and I know what you're going to say. You should get up for every game. Players should get up for every game. Every Saturday is a blessing to play for. Well, look, it's hard to get hyped up when the weather's like it is, and you're in a delay, and the offense is already out of its sync, and you're just trying to get your guys out and not get them hurt. It was just a weird game.
It was. And we got Connor commenting. Game started at 3, ended up ending at 8:45.
It was just a weird game.
And it was. You're correct about the Mercer game. The final score was 24-10.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm always looking for more from Auburn. I think they're a better team than they're actually showing, and I think we'll actually get to see that when they play some better competition. I think they're going to show out for the Auburn and Georgia. I mean, for the Alabama and Georgia games. I think we'll actually see a much better Auburn team. They just need to figure that offensive line. I think they'll be a lot better.
Yeah, Gus said it after the game. He said that they are not where they need to be in the running game, and I couldn't agree more. Their running game looks really suspect right now.
Tarvius.
It looks bad.
Sorry, I like his saying.
Connor Davis also giving a shout out for a score over Mississippi State, 16-6. He's got Auburn over Mississippi State.
I disagree a little bit. I think they're going to score. I think they'll score a little bit more than 16. I think it'll be a little bit because Mississippi State is favorite, in the West to be third best in the West. This exciting team that's going to come along. Nick Fitzgerald is the savior, and then they just.
Yeah, well, they
fizzled out.
It's looked rough for State the last couple of games. Of course, the Kentucky loss and Florida loss. I think that's going to play a lot into it. Of course, being in Starkville, I think they're going to be fired up to try and get a win.
I just think Auburn. I think Auburn's ready for that. Well, I think Auburn will end up pulling away.
Mississippi
pretty well.
State still has one of the best front sevens in the SEC, and like Tyler points out, if that offense has no running game, the offense doesn't work. If Gus Malzahn's offense has zero running game, it doesn't work because he refuses just to let Jarrett Stidham just drop back and be the passer that he is.
Yeah, but I don't think Jarrett Stidham...
He's trying to make him too much of a runner, and he's not a runner.
Right.
He's not a runner.
I just think that, Jarrett Stidham, I think he just doesn't have time to do that passing game strategy.
Not right now. Their offensive line they're still trying to figure out how to gel together.
Right.
But I think by midseason, I think they'll.
All right, let's move right along because we're gonna give our final scores to that game at the very end. Just very briefly on this Alabama game, we actually have news coming out. Nick Saban actually this is about 20 minutes ago. He actually calls out Alabama students for not showing up to last week's Louisiana game. He says, "I've never seen anything like that before." Come on, to me, like, come on, Saban. It's against Louisiana. You're the number one team in the nation. You're beating teams by 41 points a game. You've got a Heisman favorite. It's hard to get people to come out. I think I saw the beginning of that game. It's packed. After the first quarter.
Come on, Stephen. This is the same Saban thing that he does.
It is. It's a Saban saying, but
he does it every single year. But look, to a certain extent, I do agree with him. If you're Alabama, you want to have a threatening environment. You want to have people there that want to see the game. You have people that are outside the stadium at Denny Chimes, in the quad. They would love to be at that game.
Right.
And when you have fans leaving the game so early just saying, well, we don't care.
Well, you know what part of the problem is? You know what the problem is?
What's the problem?
Ticket prices. You're playing Louisiana, your ticket prices are still out the roof.
Well,
and I understand.
I get it.
I understand, we've got a big demand for these. But at the same time, we were playing teams like that. Just lower the ticket prices, you're going to get more fans in there.
And that's a separate issue. But what I'm trying to say is that if you're a fan, you're going to the game, and you say you bleed crimson and white, stay for the whole game. Any fan base would say the same thing. Any head coach for any college football team would say the same thing. We want to have the best home environment. We want to have the loudest crowd. We want to have fans that stay from the beginning of the game to the end of the game.
Right. I mean, I could have told you it was going to be like that.
Saban just has a harsher way of saying it. That's all it is.
But the only thing I want to touch on besides that in the Alabama game was Jalen officially does not keep his red shirt. He's officially there for the whole season. He can still transfer, but he's officially there pretty much for the whole season. I think I kind of saw this coming, but I thought he would keep his red shirt and just not play, just stay on the team, graduate, because he actually graduates in December, just move on as a grad transfer. But it's big win for Alabama to have that backup like we saw against Clemson. Trevor Lawrence goes out and they don't have a backup. They're struggling.
How about all the quarterbacks for Alabama on Saturday? They played great. Even Mac Jones comes out and plays.
Mac Jones
fantastic.
was like 1 for 1 for 94 yards or something like that?
At one point, he had over a 200 QBR.
But he made like one pass.
It doesn't. Well, I tweeted it out too. At one point, all three Bama quarterbacks
I actually saw that tweet.
Had over 100 QBR. It was ridiculous. It was stupendous. I mean, they were absolutely
Mac Jones.
Amazing.
Yeah, you know what his one pass. Okay, I get what you're saying there. It's cool. It's amazing stat. But I am the stat guy. You know me.
All right.
But
is it time?
No, it's not time.
Not time yet.
No. He's the brakes.
I got excited.
He's the brakes. I was just gonna say Mac Jones was 1 for 2 for 94 yards. That one pass was for 94 yards to Jalen Waddle. It wasn't like he did anything amazing.
Hey,
it was like a 5-yard pass. Jalen Waddle took it the 90 yards.
But Jalen Waddle though, man.
He looked good. All right. Let's move on. We can suck Alabama off all we want, but let's move on. UAB, I just want to touch. They actually continue their home win streak. They get the UAB's record for home wins. I also want to apologize for us being idiots. Was it 2 weeks ago saying that UAB had a home game coming up? They didn't. It was actually this past weekend.
Yeah, that was our bad.
Our bad,
Shout
guys.
Out to UAB,
our bad. Shout out UAB. This is 9 games in a row. Is that correct? At home?
At
9
home?
wins in a row?
Hey, you're the stat guy, Steven. What's up with that? You're
the
stat guy.
Come
on, get it right.
I was 95%. It's not. My last thing for college football this past weekend. Is Kentucky a legit threat in the East? That's my last thing. After they beat
South Carolina. They beat South Carolina. So look. Obviously, Kentucky is a team that's really interesting to a lot of people. They're playing Texas A&M this week. Should be a big test for them again because Texas A&M I think has an interesting team because they're not like great, but they're still good enough to where they can beat other teams. Kentucky, yeah, it's tough. I need to see more from them. I think that they've really hit it off. They're a physical team. I think their defense has not been really tested with any good offenses lately. I think Benny Snell Jr. is a very underrated back. Connor Davis thinks that Kentucky loses at A&M by 17 points.
Wow.
I think it's a little closer than that.
Let me ask you this. Is Benny Snell Jr. the best running back in the SEC?
Given how much he means to that Kentucky team, I'm going to say yes because Damian Harris, I think, is great. But I think that Damian Harris is probably like maybe one of maybe 5 other guys that are really important to this team. He's like the second or third most important player on the offense. I think Benny Snell Jr. means more to the team. So I think
probably you have some skilled running backs at Alabama, just arguably the most skilled, but you just have 4 of them that can all run the ball, and they're going to play because they're so good that, you're just not going to get the type of stats you're looking for.
But Snell's, I think, is the best.
Okay. Let's move on to some NFL. This past weekend, like we touched on at the beginning, we had some Magic Mahomes or Showtime Mahomes, however you want to say it.
Mahomes.
They need to shorten that somehow. We'll figure it out. I'll get back with y'all and trademark that too. I want to touch on the local team, or one of the local teams, I guess. Falcons.
I'll let you have the floor for this one. Go ahead.
That defense, man.
I want you to really address what you thought.
This is what I have written down. I said Falcons' offense continues to progress while the defense continues to regress. I think the Falcons coming into the season had much bigger plans. I think that the injuries to Keanu Neal and Deion Jones and now what is his name? Rashard something. I can't even think of his name right now. I'm just in complete loss, but I'm also just sad because it just hurts.
Just sad. It's just sad.
I'm just sad.
I think you and all of Atlanta. I think the only thing getting Atlanta fans through this tough time with the Falcons is the Braves making the playoffs. I think that's the only thing getting them through it. Because this is rough, Steven.
It's just it's in the games that the Falcons play. It is whoever has the ball last is going to win the game. Because I think the offense is so good that they're going to score. They're going to continue to score, and they're going to score a lot of points. But the defense is so bad that they can't stop anybody. So it's just like, yeah, you're
just speechless. You're just speechless.
I am.
You have no words.
You had this rant about the Saints. What is it? After week 2, you're like, that defense is terrible. I feel your pain now because that defense is awful.
Well,
it's hard to watch. Speaking of the Saints,
I don't want to toot my own horn, but let me before I get off that, let me just say this week, is there any bigger game this week than the Steelers and Falcons? The winner of that game gets to breathe just fresh air because the loser, they're pretty much done. They're done, Steven. If you drop, what would they be, 1-4 if you lose this game? The Falcons would be, or the Steelers, whichever team loses.
Falcons are 1-4. Steelers are tied
1-3-1, 1-3-1, or 1-2-1. So they would drop to 1-3-1. So maybe they would be better.
1-3-1.
But if Atlanta drops this game, they're done. They will not make there's no way they have a shot at this division or the playoffs. It's out of reach. The schedule is just there's too much schedule in front of them.
The Falcons,
there's no way.
Just depress me. That's all that happens is I get my hopes up and we have this great drive in the game. And we keep having these great offense drives, and we do all these things. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're actually looking good. I think the first half of that game against the Bengals, there wasn't a single 3-and-out. There wasn't a single punt. It was just offense.
All over the board.
It's good. It's fun to watch, especially if you're a fantasy owner of either team. I tell you what, any team that plays Falcons, play everybody from fantasy on that team. Just play the whole team. Just pick up the quarterback, running back, wide receiver, anybody you can pick up. Anybody you can. I mean, he had like 30-something points against the freaking Falcons.
It's crazy. But before we move on, I just want to address the Saints.
Well, we still got more football to talk about, so you can go ahead and talk about your Saints.
I just want to gloat because I was really, really just worried about this defense. And last season, I think we were all worried about the Saints defense as well. But there was that clicking point where everything started to gel with the defense. Of course, Davenport had a big play this weekend against the Giants. I really think this is the turning point for the Saints. I think not only is their offense going to just excel and keep moving on with Mark Ingram coming back and Alvin Kamara is obviously still having a fantastic year. Drew Brees is still doing his thing. But this defense is going to start gelling. That was a turning point because the defense won the game Sunday, not the offense. I'm telling you, this is a big turning point. I think the Saints are going to march all the way and win this division from here. It can only go up. I love it. I love this weekend. The Falcons lose, the Saints win. It's a great weekend. I love it. And we can move on now.
We can move on now. It was a very humble speech from Cole. Just real quick.
He's really hurt right now.
I am.
He's really hurt.
You hurt me so much it took me a minute to read what I have on my screen. I just briefly go through the NFL real quick because we're running low on time and we still got lots more to talk about. Pats get back on track like you predicted.
Knew it. Called it.
I was gonna say they own Miami. They own them.
Year.
I'm still not like secure. They do get Julian Edelman back next week, which I think will help a lot. But I'm not as faithful as I am in them usually. They kind of scared me a little bit this year, but they looked a lot better. Yeah, they looked a lot like like this is not as scary as we thought. Fitzmagic is officially at an end. Jameis Winston came in that game, Tampa Bay's game. Actually ended up starting the rest of the game. I think at like halftime.
Quick question: is Jameis going to be the answer for the Bucs moving forward? No. Okay.
I mean, Fitzmagic was the answer, but now that the magic is gone, there's not an answer. I don't know how to help you. You just got destroyed by the Bears. The Bears.
How about that? By the way,
Mitchell Trubisky with 6 touchdowns.
Just goes off.
By the way, what was up with the running game? Because I mean, they're up. I only say this because I have Jordan Howard on my fantasy team, and 11 carries.
Salty with the play calling.
11 carries, 25 yards. What's going on here? Tariq Cohen actually out-carried him, and Tariq Cohen actually looked a lot better. I don't know if that's necessarily going to start playing Tariq Cohen more, but they usually play him in passing downs. But you've been playing Jordan Howard for that, and I don't know what was going on, Cole. Mitch Trubisky had the game of his life.
An awesome game.
And
finally saw the talent and the potential he has.
is officially done. Browns continue to be just the most unclutch team in the history of the NFL.
I was wondering if we were going to touch on this.
We got to touch the Browns every week.
Okay.
Not sexually, of course. But they continue to be they continue to be the most unclutched team in, I think, like one of the history of the NFL.
Was that not the most Browns thing to do?
Maybe the Bills, when they lost all those championship games, was it back in the 90s when they lost all those in a row? Mm-hmm. Is the only other team I can think that's more unclutch. But I mean, they
unclutch. I like that.
I say that because they get these chances to win the games, and they just can't do it. They can't put the games away, and it's like you're so close. You're so close to not Browning. To
not Browning. Is that
winning?
But is that like the new hashtag Browning?
It's got to be. It's got to be. But I mean, you lose to a bad Oakland team, and one of the other things I want to touch on is you're gonna love this. I think all the rookie quarterbacks that their first week or their first 2 weeks, they're soaring out of control. Mm-hmm. I think they're all finally coming back down to earth a little bit. Josh Allen had a terrible game. Bills looked awful against the Packers. Baker Mayfield, throws 2 interceptions. Didn't look great. He also threw 2 touchdown passes, but he didn't look great. As good as he did in the first week he played. And then Sam Darnold and the Jets, I don't even have an answer for them. They're just the Browns will brown and the Jets will jet, I guess.
I said it last week. I hate to say I told everybody so, but I told you so. I knew Baker would struggle because this is just what happens when you get film on a guy and the rookie quarterbacks. It's just not proven to have great success. And look, for all you Browns fans and Baker supporters out there saying that he had a great game, come on now. 4 turnovers, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions, 1 taken back to the house. Where is the criticism of Baker Mayfield, Steven? We creamed Sam Darnold week 1 for throwing that pick 6, and he still wins the game.
Well, we still criticized Baker Mayfield.
Nobody did. Don't tell me this.
Listen.
No.
You have these blinders on for Sam Darnold. It's like anything
nobody
Sam Darnold,
criticized.
No. Everybody criticized Baker Mayfield. Nobody was jumping on the train. We had Browns fans that were excited because they won a game for the first time in 2 years. You have these Sam Darnold blinders on where it's anything bad about Sam Darnold is it highlights out of it. Anything good about Sam Darnold, it highlights out of it. But anything bad or good about any other rookie quarterback, you're just like, oh no, everybody's just praising him all the time.
They just don't talk about Sam Darnold this way. Why don't we talk about Sam Darnold the way we talk about Baker Mayfield?
Now look, I will say, you make a valid point. I do like Sam Darnold. I think he has a ton of upside, a ton of potential. But this is my only criticism I have towards everybody, is that we are so unfair on how we critique quarterbacks. I texted you and told you this over the weekend. I said, I don't understand why we pick and choose which guys we critique. Baker, we praise. Sam Darnold, we just throw him to the wolves.
But we don't throw him to the wolves.
Yes, we do.
Oh, we throw Baker to the wolves after he throws 2 interceptions this past week. Everybody's getting thrown to the wolves. It's not just Baker or Sam. It's everybody.
I'm sitting here saying, let's not throw them to the wolves. Let's just sit here and let them all play it out.
Oh, but you just threw Baker to the wolves.
No, I'm not throwing to the wolves.
You did just a minute
ago. I'm saying I called it. I knew that was going to happen, that he was going to have a bad game, and they were going to lose. Somehow, some way, they were going to find a way to lose the game. And
let's move on.
Dakota says Sam has done nothing to praise. I guess not. But I think that in the end we will be praising him, because I think that by the end of this time, Sam Darnold will be the only 4,000-yard passer in Jets history other than the great Joe Namath.
Is that you're saying this year?
Take.
You're saying that's
no,
this
not
year?
this year.
Oh, I was about to say.
At some point in his career at New York, he will be the only 4,000-yard passer in Jets history besides Joe Namath. And that is not a hot take. That is a stat that I will hold to my honor.
You normally it's the bold move, Cotton. That's a bold call, Cotton. Let's see how that plays out.
Bold move, Cotton.
Before we get into the highlight games of next week, I want to go in Steven's stat of the day, and this is actually back to college football. I actually heard this stat and then looked it up to confirm it. Washington State won their game against Utah. And Cole, I want you to tell me how many passing yards they had versus how many rushing yards.
Oh, Washington State's that one of those teams where they just throw every down. So I'm sure it was something ridiculous, like close to 500 yards.
500 passing yards. How many rushing yards they had?
They probably ran the ball maybe 7 times. Probably got 10 yards, maybe.
0 rushing yards.
No way. Get out of
here. Washington State won their game against Utah with 0 rushing yards and 445 passing yards. And I thought that was crazy because Normally, when you make a team one-dimensional, Cole, you win the game.
You win the game.
Washington State was completely one-dimensional. I can't even remember how many times they ran the ball.
0 rushing yards.
But they had 0
and
rushing
won the
yards.
game. Look, this is the new age of football. You no longer have to have a dominant running game, and you can win the game. That's the way we've gone. Defense no longer is the same. Offense has changed so much. You can win a game without dominating line of scrimmage. I mean, that is the proof in the pudding right there. That's the proof.
For some teams, I don't agree
no,
with that.
You're still gonna have dominant teams like Alabama. They're gonna win, because they're just so talented. But I'm just saying, you can win games nowadays by just throwing the ball. You don't have to have a running game.
I'll take that because you can do short passes and you can do screens. And
Connor Davis said the same amount of rushing yards is the same amount of national championships Georgia has won in my 22 years of living.
Always a shot at Georgia, Connor.
Gotta give a shot at Georgia, I guess, whenever you can, right?
At Georgia.
That is great. What a comment.
So the 22 years of what was the other 22 years of living? You said, what was it? Oh, it was Penn State. That's what he said. Championship games. Okay, let's move on to our highlight games for next week.
All right, let's do it.
I've got 2 college football games and then a NFL game. The Red River Rivalry. Say that 5 times fast.
Red River Rivalry.
That's Texas, Oklahoma. It's actually in Dallas, Texas this year. Oklahoma's an 8-point favorite. What you think about this game, Cole?
Well, I think that this is one of the games we've been looking forward to for Oklahoma because, it's one of the few tests they have on their slate. I think everybody says that Army was a test. Come on. I never thought Army was actually going to win that game. I think that their defense was tested a lot because of the scheme that they ran. But I think that Texas will give Oklahoma a good half and maybe a half and maybe a third quarter. But I think by the fourth quarter.
So 3 quarters.
Okay, you know what? I didn't think about that before I said it. I was kind of, okay, anyways. 3 quarters. Fine, Steven. I think they'll give them a good 3 quarters.
Give them a good half and a quarter.
But I think by the fourth quarter, I think that Oklahoma's talent will settle in. I think this defense is going well. I agree with Connor Davis. Oklahoma 44, Texas 27. I think that's around the score that it probably will be.
I agree with that final score. I think it'll be close for the first, I'll say half. I think Texas will keep it close, and I think the talent level on Oklahoma is just drastically better. So I think that the talent alone can pull them away. I think
Kyler Murray's the real deal.
I would love to see Texas take this game to overtime or take this game into the fourth quarter.
You want to see it close. I miss when Colt McCoy's and Sam Bradford and these games were competitive and it was up and down and back and forth, 45-42. I miss those games.
It's not going to be that way.
It's not going to be that way right now. Texas is still in.
Every year we're going to say every year Texas is number 19. Every year we're going to say Texas is back. They're not going to be back until they go undefeated and they start proving themselves more. They're not going to.
Longhorns are not back yet.
All right, so the next game I have is LSU at Florida. LSU is a 2-point favorite. I like this game, Cole, because Florida is actually surging right now under Dan Mullen, and I just think it can be a close game. I think this could be not necessarily a trap game because I think Florida is too good for it to be a trap game.
Right.
But I think this could be a definite game that LSU can show their kind of true colors and lose this game pretty easily. What do you think?
I think that LSU they were tested obviously by Auburn and I think they've got the better football team. I think Florida's still maybe a year or two away from really being a dominant team in the SEC, back up to there with LSU and Alabama and Auburn. But I think that this game will be close in the first half, just like the Texas and Oklahoma game. I think it will be close for most of the game. But again, I just think LSU will eventually pull away. But I do think that Dan Mullen has some tricks. Maybe he hasn't revealed it up his sleeve. I think he still has. I think he still has some tricks. Maybe he still has some tricks that he's willing to pull. Maybe he does something as LSU is normally the one that has kind of the schemes and the little tricks. Maybe Dan Mullen pulls a rabbit out of his hat.
We're missing out on the Mad Hatter right now. We're missing the Mad Hatter.
I do think this game will be close, but I do think LSU eventually.
I think LSU will win this game. I think LSU is a better team overall. I think Florida still has so many offensive struggles. I think it's going to take probably a year or two for Dan Mullen to get his guys in there, be his quarterback whisperer that he's known as, but I think LSU, like you said, I agree with you. We're agreeing, which is scary. But
that debate about Baker and Sam, does that
take away?
That was pretty good. That was pretty good debate. That's the best you'll get here on
That'll be a
Review.
clip.
That's the best.
That'll be a clip. No, but I think LSU is just more talented offensively and defensively than Florida. So I just think they're the better team. overall. So that's why I think LSU
Still
will
an
pull
interesting game to watch, though.
So they'll cover the points. I think they cover they cover that 2 points. Take LSU in the points. Go back to that Oklahoma Texas game.
Surprised that game that line is so close at 2 points.
Because it's at Florida and Florida's surging. I think is why. That's why I think Vegas isn't
more than likely so.
And they're not convinced with LSU. But Red River rivalry game. Let's go back to that one just real quick. The line is actually 8-point Oklahoma favorite. Does Oklahoma cover that 8 points?
Yes, I don't think there's any doubt. I think this is at least a 2-score game.
I will go opposite from you, and I will say Texas keeps it close throughout the game, and Oklahoma does not cover 8 points.
8 points?
They win by a touchdown.
Steven, that's just a touchdown and an extra point. I mean,
it's just a touchdown. That's what I said. I'm going. Texas is going to play a great game against Oklahoma.
They're going to have to play a really great game.
That's what I'm saying. I think they're going to get up for this game. It's in Dallas, Texas. It's going to be a good game.
Where it always is. I'm just saying. I don't think that has much. I don't think everybody always says it's in Texas. It's gonna be no. I don't think that has much. I think that Oklahoma is just so much better than Texas. It's just not gonna matter. I think that they could have this game in Texas.
We saw them struggling against Army, man. That's why I'm not convinced of Oklahoma. We saw them struggling against Army.
See, I think that was the scheme that Army runs. Now, if Texas shows up and runs the triple option, maybe they have a shot. Hot take. Maybe Tom Herman will put that in the playbook.
Maybe you should go coach for them. Jags at Chiefs. I think this will be a great test for Magic, Showtime, whatever you want to call it, Mahomes.
I didn't think about that.
I think this will be a great game to watch because the Jags are, I think, arguably one of the most complete teams.
The Jaguars. Obviously missing. Can you just stop and think about this for a second? What if Pat Mahomes played on the Jaguars?
That'd be crazy. I think the Jags' problem
would they not be the runaway Super Bowl favorite?
Well, I think the Jags' problem is less Blake Bortles, more so receiver talent.
See, I don't think so. I mean, I think they do lack, some of those receivers, but I think a good quarterback's going to make the receivers look good regardless.
I mean, yeah, okay, if you're talking Tom Brady, then yeah, but...
Well, but not just Tom Brady. Look at Drew Brees. I mean, he's made average receivers look good. Look at he makes Ted Ginn Jr. look like an elite receiver.
Oh, he doesn't look like an elite receiver?
Well, he looks good. Okay, I mean, a little too far with elite, but he looks good is what I'm trying to say. Look, at the end of the day, the Jaguars are a good team. They're going to probably push for the AFC Championship game again. But Blake Bortles is the reason why they're not going to get the Super Bowl. End of story.
I think it's more so, but I mean, I don't think Blake Bortles is in any way an elite quarterback, but I think it's think it's by far and away the problem is receiver talent. I mean, your best receiver is D.D. Westbrook.
I'll leave this question.
Your best receiver is D.D. Westbrook.
Dakota said Saints biased.
It is Saints biased. He's
red-handed.
He is Alabama biased, Saints biased. Any kind of bias you can have, Cole has it.
I mean, are my hands red right
yes.
now?
Yes. Any kind of bias you can have it.
But no,
Sam Darnold bias.
I think the Jaguars are a good football team, and I think that they can beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that this will be a great game. Do you think? So do you think that so you're picking the Jags in Kansas City? It's in Kansas City.
It's in Kansas City. KC is a 3-point favorite, which is actually just the home field advantage favorite.
It's tough to win 5 games in a row, so I'll go ahead and say I think that I think the Jaguars go in there and they beat them. Now this is gonna be close game, but I think Mahomes struggles against a really talented defense, really good secondary. Here's the thing: I think Jalen Ramsey. Did Jalen Ramsey call out Pat Mahomes at the beginning of the season when he made that list of quarterbacks? Did he call him out at all? Do you recall him saying anything?
I don't think he said anything about Mahomes.
I don't think he said anything about Mahomes. I'd be really interested to see what Jalen Ramsey has to say after.
Jalen Ramsey kind of called out his own quarterback a few times, so
yeah,
I wouldn't put it past him to call it.
If Blake Bortles was my quarterback, I would too.
He's not that bad. You got worse guys.
Okay, well,
you got worse.
We agree to disagree.
Oh my gosh. Anyway,
and no, Gus, I do not cheer for the Warriors. No, I do not cheer for the Warriors. I can't. I despise everything about the Warriors.
Cole is the worst type of sports fan.
I despise everything about the Warriors. Anyways, we can move on now.
All right, Cole. You know what it's time for?
It's time for the best part of the day.
It's our favorite time. It's the 2-minute drill.
All right,
where we go through.
Out the show. Here we go.
As I say, where we go through our favorite games for next week, and we give you our picks and if they cover the points or not. And I will run through, and Cole will give you his picks, and probably take up all the time, and I'll try to get a little bit word in. All right, Cole, you ready?
I'm
ready.
Start
with.
Let's go.
We got 3 college football, 3 NFL. You ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
All right, and the time starts now. Kentucky at A&M. A&M is a 6-point favorite. What you got?
I will take Kentucky. Just barely.
Wow. I will take A&M.
I'm a believer.
I will take A&M, and A&M covers the points and win by a touchdown. Auburn at Mississippi State. Auburn's a 3.5-point favorite.
It's a tricky game, but I will take Auburn. I like
I'll
Auburn.
say Auburn, and Auburn does cover the points. They win by 10. Auburn's just more talented. They just have more talent than Mississippi State, and I don't think it'll be as good as a game anybody else is saying. Notre Dame at Virginia Tech. Notre Dame's a 6-point favorite.
Easy, Notre Dame. Look, Old Dominion to expose Virginia Tech. Notre Dame's the better football team.
I agree. Notre Dame is the better football team, but I think this can
team.
definitely be a trap game for Notre Dame because I think Virginia Tech's still a great football team. I just think they had a very bad game against Old Dominion.
Not enough, though. Notre Dame wins.
Notre Dame wins. I'll say Notre Dame wins by a field goal. I say it's a very close game. They do not cover the points. Falcons at Steelers. Pittsburgh is a 3-point favorite. This is a must-win for both teams.
Is what I said. I think this is a must-win. I think this could be desperate play on both sides. I know you hate to hear this, all you Falcons fans. I think the Steelers win this game. I don't think there's any. I mean, like that defense for the Falcons looks bad.
Falcons defense looks terrible, but I will pick the Falcons for the sole reason I think Matt Ryan is a better quarterback right now.
Antonio Brown goes over 150 yards receiving, I think, on there.
I don't think so because I think Juju Smith-Schuster is going to cut into that a little bit. But
we'll see.
I picked the Falcons just because Matt Ryan's better right now. We got 30 seconds. Vikings at Eagles. Philadelphia is a 3-point favorite.
Eagles have been struggling. I'll take the Vikings. I've been skeptical of Kirk Cousins. Proved a lot last week against Goff, though. I think the Vikings win.
I think Eagles win mainly because it's at home. I think they cover the points. I'll say they win by a touchdown. Rams at Seahawks. The Rams are a 7.5-point favorite.
Oh, does the Seahawks have a win this year?
Yes.
Oh, okay, well, I'll take the Rams. Rams are going to win easy.
I just wanted to see. I'll take the Rams by 3 because I think it'll be a very close game because it's at Seattle.
I got the Rams. I love the Rams. Rams Super Bowl bound. Well, that's all the time we have, everybody.
Wait, so, real quick, Rams Super Bowl, who's the AFC?
Wait, what? You said that so fast.
Rams are your Super Bowl favorite for the NFC. Who's your AFC?
Oh, I think the Patriots are going to make it. Yeah, no, it's Patriots, Rams.
Patriots.
Easy,
wow.
Easy. Yeah,
wow.
Patriots,
I'll go Kansas City.
All right. Well, there you go. All right, another week in the books, guys. We will be back next Wednesday, Steven.
Next Wednesday, 7:30. Tune in. You got to follow our Twitter, follow our Instagram, follow our Facebook. We actually have pictures now. It's amazing. You can see our faces instead of those weird refs that we had that nobody knew who they were. You can actually see our faces. I will be better this week. I promise about posting on social media.
Be better.
Well, I know because Cole helps out so much. But we have we're gonna post a 2-minute review or 2-minute drill. We're gonna post our good argument and just keep up throughout the week. Retweet, share, let everybody else know that we will be Wednesday nights Facebook Live. And this video will also be posted on our under review afterwards. For some reason, it won't save live when we go live on it.
Oh yeah, we'll have it on there. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.